All right, now we're going. Good evening, TNT, Super Fantastic Family. Welcome to our special training call, if you want to. We'll call it that. Special training call for September 7, 2017. We're going to talk on this ZIM stuff. Now, first and foremost, you've been hearing stuff about ZIM for a couple of years, and especially this past year, you've heard quite a few things. Some of it it sure sounded outlandish to me. I don't know about to you, but needless to say, that's what you heard. Variations of this and that, and high rates that'll make your nose bleed, and all this other type of stuff. And I had been rather quiet about it because I didn't have information coming to me about it. So I didn't really have anything to say other than what had already been reported to me. And that's all I reported to you. Now, generally I hear stuff from different sources. Members send me things. He said, she said, they said. I don't repeat that stuff because that's what that is. He said, she said, they said, and in most cases some of it isn't true anyway, or one or two phases of it might be true. But when I communicate with a source, one second. When I communicate with a source, that's different. And even the sources don't always have things 100% to the penny. But generally, they're pretty close. So information came to me about the ZIM from one of our commercial sources. And so that weighed heavy on my heart for a minute, like, this is very contradictory to the stuff that people have been hearing. But if it is true, it will definitely knock some people for a loop. So the decision was, let's share what we can share of it on the off chance that it might be true and accurate. Now, one thing that I pat myself on the back on, and you can too, is that we're a teaching organization, TNT, open mic. People have titled us a university and etc. And that's because people are learning. We're not just shooting stuff from the hip and just saying things. We're making sure that we are learning what is going on, or at least how to benefit or protect ourselves from what is going on, if it all is true and factual. So with that thought in mind, I quickly came to the conclusion, if this information, as unfavorable as it sounds, is true, I would want to know it before transaction day. That is not the time to learn you had the wrong information or you had the wrong idea. You had already been making plans. You were just waiting for transaction day to finalize those plans. And then to get there and find out your plan crashed and burned before you left the house. You didn't even know it. So we decided to be proactive in sharing the information on the off chance that it is 100% accurate. Now, if it isn't, no harm, no foul. We just keep on keeping on. The same way that we shared good, positive information that may or may not be true, we have to receive and accept unfavorable information that may or may not be true. And the most ridiculous thing that we can do is deny it and try not to hear it because we are in denial. That does none of us any good. And so after seeing comments of members in the chat room denying this potentially possible situation, wanting to not accept it, doesn't make sense, Well, there's a lot of things in this world that don't make sense. It still happens. But still, we should prepare and plan, just like when we tell you there might be a 50% tax. You need to plan for that. Now, if there is no tax, then that 50% that you planned for, you can do something else with it. Plain and simple. And everybody accepted that with no qualm. But now here comes unfavorable information, and some of you just flat out act like children. This is neither the time nor the place for that type of foolishness. This is business. And if it turns out to be true, you better prepare yourself or suffer the consequences. So the information that I received regarding ZIM, I first told you last Wednesday. I forewarned everybody and said, if it holds true, you're not going to get what you think you're going to get out of this deal. Now, that was enough to make you sit up and take notice and say, okay, let's find out what's going on. Next call, I went on to go into a little detail, and that's when the makes no sense just kept coming up. Some members are even posting BS in chat. That's BS. Don't worry about it. Now, that's like the most dumbest thing that you could tell somebody, don't worry about it. Well, what if it's true? And then you told that person, don't worry about it. And then they had to suffer the consequences. Had they worried about it, well, I wouldn't really say worried, but had they taken it into consideration and said, I need a plan of action for this. So if it is true, I won't be as devastated as the person who had no idea it was going to happen. So that did infuriate me a little bit with some of you members, with your attitudes that clearly subscribe to the mindset of if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Because if you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. The solution for this situation was, hey, here's some unfavorable information that might be true. Now, how are we going to deal with it? What strategies can we come up with that can help me, you, us, deal with this if it is real? Now, if it isn't real, we just had a good training session that we might need to utilize in the future for something else. So it still would not be a waste, if you will. So with that being said, the information so far that I've received and do not know this to be 100% true and factual until it happens. Until then, it's just, let's plan for this, guys, just like we plan for everything else. 6 zeros are supposed to be taken off across the board. The trillions, the billions, and the millions. To lose 6 zeros. Now, for the $1 trillion holder, trillion note, no big deal. Now, the million note holder, that's a pretty darn big deal. Now, some of you listen to people putting stuff out there of they're going to take 6 off the trillions, 3 off the billions, and none off the millions. You heard that? You listened to it? And some of you even made financial plans around it. Against my better judgment, and of course, I didn't try to step in and say, no, you better not do that. I didn't know one way or the other. I just know it sounded more plausible that if they're going to do 6 to 1, they'll do it across the board to keep everything in perspective. But what did some of us do? We looked at the 500 million note and came to the conclusion, if they're going to take 6 zeros off the 100 trillion and make it a 100 million note, but no zeros off the million, I'm going to buy the 500 million because in the long run, I would come out with more. theoretically, you would if they did nothing to the million series. But if they took 6 zeros off of the million series, your 500 million just became 500. Whoa. That's a big deal, especially if that's all you got with the 500 millions because they were cheaper in the first place. So you bought the cheap stuff thinking you were going to come out smelling like a rose, and instead you just might come out smelling like Charmin instead. Wouldn't you want to know that it could happen so that you could have a plan? And you know, your plan might not be anything more than a mental adjustment of, well, shucks, there's nothing else I can do. But if that happens, life goes on. I still would rather know it today and mentally deal with it than find out on transaction day. So that was one element. Another element was the 80-20. Now, for a long time, the 80-20 was being put out there as a strategy for some sovereign rate in the hundreds and thousands and 10,000s and crazy numbers. But if you want the sovereign rates, it's going to be 80-20. And then it wasn't even really fully explained. But what is coming to me is the country of Zimbabwe is pushing all of this through. And these are decisions that they have made. So the information, if it holds true, emphasis on if, it's an 80-20 deal, period. Now that 80-20, you exchange or present a 100 trillion note, 6 zeros come off. That drops it down to 100 million. I'm going to use a rate of 10 cents to make the mathematics easy. It is not me telling you the rate is going to be 10 cents. I have no idea what the rate is. We are just using it as an example for this exercise. So if the rate is 10 cents, that 100 million is now going to produce $10 million. On that 80-20 plan, 80% of that 10 million is going to be allocated towards a charity. It is my understanding that you may have the opportunity to select a charity of your choice. We don't know that to be a fact yet, but we will work with that. The other 20% is going to be allocated to you. Now, notice I'm saying allocated, not given, not paid, not distributed. So that means you're going to have the use of that 20% figure, which in this example would be $2 million. Use being interest generated from that $2 million, you will receive. But you cannot tamper with the principal. It is not yours to tamper with. This is the understanding that I'm getting from my conversations back and forth to get an understanding of how this thing is going to go down, if it goes down this way. So the 80% is going to be allocated to a charity, and that means the charity is not going to get the principal. It will be able to enjoy the interest that is generated from that principal as that money is being worked in whatever system it's going to be worked in. So that's the 80-20 that I've been able to ascertain so far from the information that has been shared. And we will continually try to get more and more information to shape this thing up as well as any other currency, to make our members aware of here's what may happen or is going to happen. We don't know yet. But the whole focus about this was to let you develop some alternative plans physically or at least mentally so you can handle it and not wind up being thrown out of the bank or whatever building that this transaction is taking place in because you heard something you weren't expecting to hear and then you started acting the fool. And some of you are likely to do that. So we thought it best to bring this information out and share it in case it is real. And then have a plan. That's all this was for, was to help you develop a strategy, a recourse, if you will, for this activity should it hold true. Okay, I'm not going to try to read the questions on the board because I probably answered those. Well, I'll take that back. Let me go look at a few of them real quick. I think I covered everything that needed to be covered. Susanna C. says, does the bank execute the 80-20 at exchange of ZIM? I would assume yes, because there's no place else these transactions are going to take place. But that remains to be seen. Okay, I'm still waiting. Just please cover what the 80-20 means. I did that. Mama Cat, if the ZIM was purchased under a nonprofit church organization, would that qualify as a charity organization? My understanding with the whole charity deal, they're going to actually look at whatever you present to them as a charity, investigate them, and make their decisions if they approve of it at being a viable charity upon which they want to send these funds to. So what does that mean? That means right out the bat, right out the gate, don't go out and start creating some charities so you can try to get all the money. Don't be greedy, guys. If you have a charity, fine. You want to present it, fine. But I think if you go out here and just whip up something real quick so you can try to say you have a charity and you want that 80% to go to that charity, if it's not real, true, they will find it out and probably will not allow it. So don't be doing, the bottom line is don't go be setting up charities and stuff just so you can try to get this 80%. Set up charities for real reasons, for being charitable. Whether they give that 80% to it or not, we still need to have our charitable entities working. So keep that in mind. Skinny Cow, I need you to clarify what double dipping is. All right, this is a ZIM training call. Sonny, can you tell us what it is about the ZIM information that is giving your confidence level of its validity and possibility? Okay, I think I answered that already. Nice, and it's the commercial source I'm getting the information from. TNDR. Is the 80-20 info you receive verified? Come on, guys. If it's verified, it would be real. I don't know. The only way you can verify something is if it actually happens, as far as I'm concerned. So okay. Fraser 2013. Just for the sake of clarity, the 80-20 split would be in addition to zeros being dropped off. Yes. NEO. Scout Dad. Do you think they will allow us to exchange, then create a new private foundation for the 80%? That I've addressed that already about creating entities just to try to capture the other money. Don't do it. Ian Johns. Do you think the banks will be doing the ZIM exchange? From what I'm hearing, some of the banks will be doing that. let me get more information on that before I try to go further into that. But there should be a bank in your area somewhere that is going to be engaging with the ZIM. So it's not like you got to run all over the country to try to get the ZIM done. Okay, let me go to the other Q&A. Then we'll hear any live questions. 1 second. My computer's acting like somebody I know. 15 questions? Really? Okay. I just did one that had 15 questions. Hopefully I've already covered it. Let's see here. Oh, they're the same questions. So, okay. Oh, here's something new. Okay. Do you think it would be possible to negotiate for more than 1-to-1? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Especially if we wanted to do business with the bank and leave more money for them to invest with by giving us a better rate. Well, see, we're talking ZIM, so maybe with the currencies you might could pull that. Do you think it might be possible to negotiate the 80-20 spread to more of a 50-50 spread for business purposes? No, Circ 7. Arthur Sam Oliver, if we are paid out 80-20 and 80% is to charity, will we no longer have to pay taxes on the ZIM? Yeah, if it's taxable, you're going to pay tax on the 20% or whatever part you receive. I believe that would be the case. 1 second. Okay, Loco Felipe. Do they vet the institutions that we would like to send the 80% to? Yes, I addressed that. I have no idea what the waiting time is for the donations to be delivered. Okay. Dobie 45. Ray, am I thinking correctly? When we bought the ZIM, we knew it had no value, but we bought it hoping. But doesn't it still belong to us? And whatever it yields, doesn't that belong to us as well? Don't think I'm understanding. Sorry, help a fellow out. Sorry for sounding dumb. Well, you don't sound dumb. You don't fully understand everything that's going on. Sure, you bought the paper. It's yours. You do whatever you want to do with it. But now I'm Zimbabwe, and I'm telling you, Dobie 45, if you bring that back to me, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take off 6 zeros. It's going to have a rate assigned to it, and we're going to let you enjoy the interest off of 20% of whatever that yields, and I'm going to let a charity, hopefully one you pick, enjoy the interest off the 80% of whatever it yields. And I'm going to let you do that for 25 years, and you can draw that interest. Take it or leave it. Now, if you don't want to do that, keep the paper you bought and do whatever you want to do with it. That's my understanding of what I've been hearing up to this point. Puddle P&W, who is ordaining this 2080? Zimbabwe. Leader for God 61. Please help me understand why a country like Zimbabwe would require those of us that hold their currency to give 80% to charities, etc. They don't want to give you all the money. They want to make sure it goes out to good causes. That's the best answer I can give you. Rising Sun. If the 80-20 exchange of the ZIM is true, this would make sense if we are getting the nosebleed rates without zeros being lopped off. Now, if the zeros get lopped off, which is what I have been told, and your exchange amount is, let's say, $1 million, and they tell you that you have to do 80/20, who does that make sense to? Mercer 2543. First and foremost, before anything is said, I would like for you to read and understand. Point. Okay. All right. Thank you for thanking us. My question is, I've heard you mention the 80/20 rule for the ZIM, and have a question because I do not fully understand. I am still learning. Okay. Okay. All of your examples that you all are posting, I think I pretty much covered that in the opening statements. C. Bain Shields said, would we ever get the principal? No, not from the way I understand it. You can enjoy the interest from the principal, but you would not get the principal. Smithy, will we have to pay taxes on any of the 80%? No, you don't receive the 80%, so you can't have to pay taxes on it. Dwayne, is the principal ever to be available, inherited to anyone? No, but the interest from the principal can be inherited and passed on to someone else at your death. Okay, that's it for the board questions. Wow, there's a whole bunch of hands up now. Before there were only 3. 918, Oklahoma. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Ray.
Good evening.
I think you pretty well here just recently. My hand's been up for some time. You answered my questions on the ZIM, but just let me reiterate so I've got this in my head. The example you gave on the 100 trillion, okay, they knock off the 6 zeros. If it's 10 cents, that's 10 million. 80% or 8 million, that stays in the bank, and a charity gets the interest off that. The 2 million or the 20%, that would go into my account, and
no.
Excuse me?
No, it does not go into your account.
Okay.
It stays in the bank just like the 80% for the charity that you said stays in the bank. Both of them do the same thing from my understanding. You just get to enjoy the interest from that 20%.
Okay.
And that will go into your bank account.
Right. That's what I was saying. The 20%, that principal would be put in my bank account, but I can never touch it. Okay.
No, it will not be put in your bank account. If it's put in your bank account, you can touch it and do whatever you want to.
I got you. So basically, all the 10 million, then all of it stays in the bank. 80% of it, interest is paid out to a charity, and the 20% interest is paid out to me.
Yes, that's the way that I'm receiving the information.
I got you.
And you'll get that interest for 25 years.
Okay, and but I will pay taxes, of course, on the interest I get. Will I pay taxes on the 20% principal?
That has not been discussed from them, but from a tax angle, I don't see how you could be taxed on that 20% principal. It's not yours.
Right.
You are receiving the interest from the principal, so you'll be taxed on the interest, but not the principal. You never received the principal.
I got you. And then, if you're feeling up to tomorrow, do you think you'll have your regular call? Because I had a question on the RI process. And I would ask that tomorrow.
We'll do that tomorrow, yes.
So you think you'll have your call, right, if you're feeling
so far, yes.
Okay.
So far.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Thanks a lot,
Okay.
Ray.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Uh-huh.
312, Illinois. 312, Illinois.
Hey, Ray, you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm fantabulous to the nth degree.
Okay. I just heard you talking with the other gentleman, and I do understand what you're saying. The principal, they will always have control of. We will only get interest. But who is to say that the former people who were in control, powering it be, who have charities already set up, that this money won't get back to them, and then we'll be back in the same boat that we were in before?
I have no idea. I'm just reporting to you guys what's being told to me. And
Okay,
for us, that way we can make plans for it if it becomes a reality.
Okay, so will there be a list for the TNT members to go by to not funnel those funds back into that organization so that we won't be back into,
No.
Okay.
I don't know where you're headed, but no, there won't be a list by TNT for anything pertaining to this ZIM activity.
Okay. And the last thing, in regards to the zeros with the millions, from my understanding, a long time ago someone had told me that they have a law on their books that they cannot take zeros away from the $1 million note. I don't know how true that is to be. So, but I do know that was stated back in 2013 when I was first introduced to the ZIM. That
who has a law in their
someone,
books? Zimbabwe?
Yeah, something about in their currency books with their system. They had something on the books regarding that.
How could they have a law on the books in 2013 when they stopped?
No.
In 2009?
I said it was told to me in 2013. The law's been on the books for a minute. It's just that it was told.
Well, I would think that law would apply to the currency if they reinstated it as a currency. Then the laws over the currency would be in effect. If they don't reinstate it as a currency and doing this clearly as a gift to you, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, we heard currency, bonds. We heard so many things with it. Until we see the rules of engagement when we sit down at that table, we really don't know. But I appreciate you making us aware of what may possibly come. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. 916, California.
Yes.
Let me try that again.
Can you hear me, Ray?
Okay. Yes, I hear you.
Okay. We're talking about interest, and I know interest right now that's being paid by the bank is very, very low. Is there any indication of what the interest rate is that's going to be paid on this principal?
Not yet. I don't have that information to share yet.
Okay. That was my question. Thank you very much.
All right. You're welcome. 301, Maryland.
Good evening, Ray. I spent the last month in Reno talking with a lot of people about the ZIM, and there's a lot of rumors going around, and but there's some people out there that seem to be group leaders, and they did seem to have some clarity. And at some point, it would be good if we had a private conversation about that. But my question to you is you mentioned 80% would go to a charity. Is that the same thing as a humanitarian project?
Probably so, yes.
Okay, because that's the way it was described to me, and that those humanitarian projects are things that the person who submitted the bond or the currency could actually apply to perform and could actually participate in a humanitarian project that would utilize some of those funds. Is that your understanding?
No. But anyway.
Okay. So So our understanding is that it goes directly to some other organization who will be using the funds.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
At this point.
Okay.
But again, as I've said before, my information is not 100% accurate, but it's information that we can plan on utilizing so that if it comes out true, we don't get caught with our pants down. If it doesn't come out true, then that's all the more better. We just keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I will send you
right.
my phone number, okay? And if you're interested in the information I got over the last 30 days, I'll be happy to share it with you.
Well, no disrespect, but if you're getting stuff from group leaders, I'm getting stuff from people that rank over them. They're decision makers. So group leaders can only go by what they're being told.
That's true.
But we'll see what happens. But thanks just the same.
All right.
Okay.
Thank
757, Virginia, you're on. 757, Virginia. Okay. Let me try this one more time. 757? Did you change your mind?
Sir?
Okay, I hear you.
Hello?
Yes.
Greetings, sir. How are you?
Okay. I'm fantabulous to the nth degree.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to say to everyone that's listening, regardless to however it is, whether it's true or not, in my opinion, if the country is making this proclamation, the 80-20 rule, if you will, I will be more than happy to contribute and give back to the country or whatever humanitarian project or wherever these funds are going, because like it was said to us for years now, we were not supposed to be a part of this process. So whatever it is, in my opinion, that we get out of this, makes me happy.
All right.
Because
Thank
it's
you.
a double duty. It's a win-win.
Okay. Thank
you, sir.
Sorry about that. Let's see. Who do I have? 936, Texas. You're on.
Hello, Ray.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fantabulous to the nth degree. And yourself?
I'm good. I'm in a town called Raywood.
All right.
Raywood, Texas. So, my question was, I guess from a standpoint of trying to better yourself, do you know, is there going to be any negotiation? Because we've heard that there's, you can negotiate for a higher rate. I just heard you say sovereign rate earlier, and is that a negotiable rate?
I know nothing about a sovereign rate. I just commented that that's what you all had been hearing in the past, sovereign rates. So kind of wish I'd never even said it. But anyway, I'm not hearing any negotiating on anything regarding the ZIM. Now the other currencies, that's a horse of a different color.
Yes, sir.
Negotiate your behind off if you can. Negotiate everything, because that's a business deal. This isn't a business deal. It sounds to me more like a gift. Here, we're giving you something if you want it. If you don't want it, and again, guys, we don't know how true this is. The purpose for this call wasn't to debate the information I have. It's to make you understand what I have, and then if you have a situation that you need a solution, if this is real, well, that was the purpose. Anything else is a waste of time. So the rest of you that have your hands up, if you want to just want to tell me what you're hearing or what you got or whatever. That's not what this call was for. This was to explain to you what I received, how I received it, and what remedy we can develop if it turns out to be true. And if it isn't true, this was just a good exercise call.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
I sure thank you.
All right. Now, based on that, if any of you that have your hand up, if you want to put them down, press *2, and that puts your hands down. Because there's a gang of you, and I know I won't get to everyone. But anyway, 282, Idaho, you are on.
Hi, Tony. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Tony.
That's okay.
To talk to you. I do apologize. I know it's
no problem.
Okay, let me get this straight. 80% goes to them, and they can do what they want with it. 20% goes to them, and they'll pay me the interest on it.
Okay, you can look at it that way.
What kind of interest would that be?
No, nothing that I can speak on tonight on that.
Okay. My question is because you mentioned if you don't one, but I have someone who is okay.
You cut out on me. I didn't hear everything you said.
Okay, if you don't already have a charity or a foundation or something that you want them to contribute it to, don't run out and get one. What about those?
Not for that purpose, because people will see right through that.
Yeah. No, and I, who both have gotten into this, and we have things that we do as soon as we get it. People are telling us, you can't do anything until you have the money. But we do have good charities that we want to have it given to. Is there a possibility that they'll work with us to create those charities? To make sure that those? No, they won't. Okay.
No, I don't see that they're going to help you create anything.
Yeah. Okay. And
I haven't received any information like that, so no.
Okay. Is this just the U.S. or is it worldwide?
It's Zimbabwe, so I guess it's going to be worldwide if that's the rule that they're making for their currency. It won't matter where you're coming from if that's the policy that they put together. That's my understanding.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate you. Have a great night.
To join to the subconference, press number of subconference from 1 to 9.
Okay. I don't know what
press
that was
star
about.
to return to the conference.
509, Washington, you're on.
To join to the subconference, press number of subconference from 1 to 9. Press star to return to the conference.
Hello?
Yes, hello, 509.
Hey, Ray.
To join to the subconference, press number of subconference from 1 to 9.
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from.
Press star to return to the conference.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. No other line is open that I can see, though. Okay. Maybe we can speak now. Go ahead.
All right. Well, we'll try it. First of all, thank you for doing this call this evening, especially not feeling well. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm following everything you're saying so far, and it's, it makes sense to me. I mean, at least you're laying it out very clearly. You do that very well, and I appreciate having you available as a resource to get some reliable and level-headed information from over the past however long years or, well, year or two that you've been on the line. The only real question in my head, so I'm a ZIM holder. It made sense to me to what the heck, I might as well buy a few quads given the price. So I have ZIM. But I haven't been able to find anywhere any clear or reliable information as to why Zimbabwe, having deleted the currency or stopped using it, would find it necessary or why it's necessary for them to either, well, it sounds like they're not reinstating, but why is the paper that we're holding actually valuable to them at this point, such that they would allocate so much money, so many hundreds of billions of dollars, I'm sure we've given everybody's amount, into investment accounts and then be feeding us interest? Do you have any information that would explain their motivation for why they're even doing this in the first place?
No, not on this call.
Okay. Well.
Okay. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. 832, Texas.
Hey, Ray. How you doing?
I'm fantabulous to the nth degree. And yourself?
Doing fantastic. Super fantastic. A couple of questions. One, so they anticipate giving us, as of right now, the interest off of 20%, right?
Yes.
And we don't know yet if that interest is going to be yearly or quarterly.
No, I don't know the distribution frequency. No.
Okay. And the charity, I guess, a church is not a charity, a 503c1?
I don't know. You can submit it and see what happens, if that's what you want.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Colorado, 719.
Good evening, Ray. Thank you for doing this while you're not feeling well.
Yes, sir.
Questions that I have. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Questions I had, you've answered most of them, but I just wanted to ask if you're hearing full face value because it's a bond and then $818 per item. Obviously, you referenced, somewhere around 10 cents earlier to make the math easy. I just wanted to, give some of the folks out there peace of mind that have been hearing that poster that, goes back and forth all the time. Are you hearing $818 per item? It's a bond. They can't change the value. Obviously, what you presented says you are not hearing that, but I just wanted for you, if you've heard it or haven't heard it, to, validate that so a lot of people will just take a deep breath and kind of relax and listen to you.
No, I've heard nothing like that. I asked them about the bond situation, and they told me that there is no bond legislation in effect for that Zimbabwe paper. So that's the only reference to bond that has been shared, that there's no bond legislation on the ZIM that you are holding. Now, the new Zimbabwe currency is dealing with bonds, and that's entirely different than what we are working with. That's the information that I have received. That's
excellent. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Hey, I appreciate it. Sorry for the delay in me interrupting you. I appreciate your time. No thank you so much. Have a great evening.
You're welcome. Okay. 360, Washington.
Hello. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Yes, you're welcome.
Most of my questions have been answered in listening to everyone else's questions and following the gentleman right before me. When you were talking about the old versus the new notes, are we talking about the ones that are 2008 that have like the 3 rocks?
Yes, that's what we have, the old currency. Was that it? 360? 360? Did I lose you? 360. Okay, we must have lost that person. I'll go to 918, Oklahoma.
Hi, Ray. This is Tara.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm fantabulous to the nth degree. And yourself?
Well, I am fantastic also. My question is, you mentioned taking 6 zeros off. I have actually just recently purchased $500,000 Zimbabwe. Are they taking the 3 zeros off of those? Or have you heard?
Yeah, I've not heard anything other than 6 zeros off the million, billion, trillion.
Okay, good. Good. Because they've had a great deal on those $500,000 ones. So that was my question. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. 970, Colorado. Wait a minute. Did that work? Oh, come on, board. Let me try it again. Okay. Colorado.
Yes. Hi, Ray. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I hear you.
Well, I also appreciate that you did this tonight for us with you not feeling well. And I guess it's the mom in me, and especially if your wife is gone. I just wanted to ask you a question before I ask the question. Okay. Do you have a Whole Foods near you or like a natural food store?
Let's keep it on Zim only, dear. Let's keep it on Zim only. I'm running out of time.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about Zim yet. Okay.
No.
Can you hear me?
That's all we're going to talk. That's all we're going to talk about is Zim.
No, I'm just giving you some input really, really, really quick for you.
You're going to try to push me somewhere I don't want to go. Let's just talk about it.
No, I'm not trying to push you anywhere. I'm just telling you, as a mom and taking care of my kids and everything, I would just say because you're sick, what I always did before I would load.
Now, see, you just won't listen. I really hate it when you guys make me do things like that. But we have to listen, people. I know you all mean well, but you have to just listen to the wishes of the person you're speaking to. That's the number one rule of communicating. Listen to the person you're speaking to and do what they ask you if you want to continue to communicate with them. 513, Ohio.
Hey, Ray, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. First of all, thank you very much. You answered my big question. I had always planned on forming a charitable organization, but I really wanted to wait until after this happened to figure it all out before I did so, and now I'm not going to rush out and do so. My other question, and part of my reason for wanting a charitable organization is then I can pick, the Hurricane Katrina Fund or the Hurricane Irma Fund or et cetera and change. Has there been any information about the interest off the 80%? Is that a one-time choice, or do I have some ability to, direct it over time? What happens if the charity went out of business that I originally directed it to or something?
I don't know. We didn't get that far in questions on that process. I'm sure when you get to the transaction time, you can get that detail. If it holds true, that information will be available then.
Okay. That was, it's just do I pick something that's not going to go away, or do I pick something that's, let's call it hot, and that I really want to give to today? And that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Well, hopefully we'll get more information and bring it to the members so that you can make better choices and decisions based on the detailed information that's provided. So let's see what comes to us in the next several hours or days. And we'll share that.
Thank you for helping us plan.
Okay, you're welcome. 301, Maryland, you are on.
Hi, Ray, is that me?
That is you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate you doing the call. I kind of understand what you were saying about the 80-20, but the 20%, you're saying that I would get the interest off of that, correct, for 25 years?
Yes.
Next, I can do whatever I want with what I get for the interest, correct?
Yes.
So that could be like put into my bank account, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I need to know. Thank you, and feel better.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you. 626, California.
I'm going to be very professional because you're being very professional. So we've heard all this nonsense over the years, including there would only be one bank handling the ZIM. But you still think with all these nuances that if it's this, then this. They've trained all the bank employees that are going to handle with all the banks. They've trained them on all these nuances.
The banks that are going to be participating, yes.
So it could be like just a few banks?
I don't know. I just know that there's affiliate banks that if the bank itself is not in your area, there's an affiliate in your area that you would utilize.
Okay. And have you shared everything you're going to share now, or tomorrow might we hear a new bit of information?
Well, I'm sharing all that I'm going to share on ZIM, unless something new comes up.
That's what
tomorrow.
I mean. We're only talking about ZIM.
Yeah.
Okay. So if they call you and say, hey, we found out this too, then if you feel that you need to, you'll share that.
Oh, yes.
You'll share that info too?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Feel better.
You're welcome. All righty. Bye-bye. 910, North Carolina.
Hey, Ray, this is Pete, your neighbor down the road in Fayetteville.
Hey, sir, how are you?
Thank you for, pretty good, sir. Thank you for taking my call. And I appreciate you doing this call tonight again, not feeling well. And I'm finally going to mail in a contribution. I don't like to call it donation because it's a contribution, next week. First time I've been able to do that. I haven't talked to you in a while. All my questions have been answered graciously by you except for one, and I believe it was partially answered except I'm just not clear. The charities that we if we have one in mind, we can tell the bank. Do you have any idea? Can we tell them more than one, or is it just going to be one designated for that?
Well, that's a good question. Because we were doing some training on this on open mic, and some good questions came out, and that's really what prompted me to do this call. In the event, because we don't know, but if they say that you can only select one charity and you have multiple charities, then the strategy would be exchange one note, come back and exchange another day, another note.
Oh, yeah.
And make
hey,
a
not
selection.
a bad idea. And all this, yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, from the information that I'm receiving, we're going to have plenty of time. There's no rush to go and try to do all your ZIM in one day. So spread it out.
Right.
If that's the case,
right.
But we don't know yet if that's going to be the case. But see, now you have a remedy if it is. Do one per day.
Right. I got you. And everything you're saying about the 80 and 20 kind of came as a surprise, but it makes total sense to me because now instead of having gazillions, I'm only going to have maybe hundreds of thousands or a few million here and there off the interest. I was serious. I thought, wow, I'm going to have gazillions of dollars, hundreds of millions. Well, instead of hundreds of millions, I might only have hundreds of thousands. But I think I can live off that.
Yes, you could still survive.
Ray, sir, thank you so much for all you do. I really appreciate it. None of us can thank you enough. And like the one young lady said a few calls back, I think she was in California, a few minutes ago. I am grateful for anything. If the nation, the country of Zimbabwe is doing this as a gift, I don't know how to thank them because, $50 I pay for each 100 million note, and I've got several. Well, let's say I bought 10 or even 100. That's either $500 or $5,000. I hate to use the word investment, but speculation. Many of us have lost many more times than that in other wild investments. So if I get anything out of this, Zim, I am grateful. So thank you, Zimbabwe. Thank you, Ray. Thank you for everybody that really helps out with all the information. Everybody. I can't name them all, but anyway, Ray, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate this call tonight. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
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 Okay, let's see. 9. Come on, thing. There we are. 972, Texas.
Hi, Ray. How you
there.
doing?
I'm fantabulous. the nth degree. And yourself?
I'm good. I had several questions. One having to do with you said 25 years
Yes.
was the time frame,
Yes.
and you said that can be as far as if I'm very old, it can be a beneficiary can have that, right?
Yes.
Another question was, who is administering it? Is this the bank that we go to? Is that where the principal is?
I don't know that detail yet.
Okay. As far as, I was just curious as far as defaulting on the principal and interest, who's in charge.
Okay.
But we don't know.
We will learn that if it holds true, we will learn those details at the appropriate time.
Okay, thank you much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, bye-bye. 505, New Mexico.
Hi, Ray.
Hi there.
How are you? This is my first time to talk with you. It's a real honor, and
Hey.
I do hope you get to feeling well.
Okay,
and
thank you.
I think you may have just answered, the lady before may have asked the question I'm thinking, but, the banks are going to get this multitude of money, digital money on their books. And so, what's going to ever happen to it? The principal is not ever going to be touched. So the banks are just going to be making money off of this money that's on deposit in their bank while we're only getting the interest, and the charities are only getting the 80% interest off the 80%? Or am I mistaken? Which is probably true.
I don't know, but what does it matter?
I'm
if
just
the
curious.
bank is making a killing?
Question of curiosity. I'm sorry.
That's okay to be curious, but I'm solution-oriented and trying to make sure we have remedy for what applies to us if it becomes real. We can't really spend a lot of time on the areas that won't benefit us anyway. I don't, so I don't try to get those answers. I'll leave it up to Zimbabwe to worry about that part, because if this is true, we won't be involved in it anyway.
I apologize
in that aspect of it. You don't need to apologize.
I apologize for wasting your time. I'm sorry.
No problem. I just want to try to have us focusing on the things that we can do something about, that we can benefit from, as opposed to just satisfying a curiosity. I'm more results oriented and trying to make sure that we can come up with things that can help move us forward. But thank you, though.
All right, cool. That's cool. I just gave me input.
Board muted you. Sorry. 50, but thank you, 505. Okay, 503 Oregon. Looked like it took you next.
Hello, Ray. Is that me?
That is you.
Well, thank you. You've answered most all my questions. I'm a first-time caller, but long-time listener. And my question was, okay, if it's 80-20, won't will the 80% that is in their bank, will that be donated to our charity in our name? And if so, will it be something we can deduct at tax time?
No, I doubt it. It was not explained that way. In order for you to deduct it, then you have to be the one to receive it and give it away.
So it won't be given in our name?
Even if it was given in your name, if you never received it, you can't take credit for giving it away. Even if they said this is on Jane Doe, on behalf of Jane Doe. But if Jane Doe never received it, Jane Doe can't legally claim a tax credit for giving it away because she didn't.
Okay, gotcha.
That's my understanding of how the tax system works, but I could be wrong.
Okay, well, my other questions were all answered, so thank you very much. I hope you get to feeling better.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, we're an hour and 15 minutes into this call. It's a little bit longer than I had anticipated running it because I didn't want to keep you guys long. Let's see. Do I have any other callers up here that want to say something? Okay. 1 second, folks. This board is giving me a little bit of a fit here, but anyway. 1 more second here. I'm actually fiddling with this computer, trying to get this board to act right and do what I want it to do. I know the first thing I'm going to do after exchanging and leveraging, I'm going to buy a brand new computer. I won't have to keep putting up with this crazy stuff. But anyway, as I was saying, starting this segment, the purpose of this was to explain why I shared the information, and then number 2, to see can we have some solutions on if this becomes a reality, how are we going to deal with it? How are you going to deal with it? Hopefully this opened your eyes, opened your ears to the possibility of something, whether it makes sense to you or not, but the possibility of, well, if it happens, what am I going to do? Because this just knocked a hole in the income I was looking to do. This just changed this, it changed that. Or for some of you, it may be, no change at all. Especially if you were diversified. I mean, it is going to be a change if it's true. For all of us, for all of us that holds ZIM, if it holds true, that's going to be a change, a big change for a lot of us. So I wanted to make us aware of another possibility to give you time, if there's enough time, to be thinking on solutions on, if that's the case, this is what I need to do. And it won't hit you blindsided and you're trying to rush and do it in the spur of the moment. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close out this segment. And thank you all for being on.